Congressman Jason Crow said today in response to these new actions by the president that President Trump has, quote, learned nothing from decades of endless war. Congressman Crow says, quote, I went to war 3 times for this country. Quote, working class folks will pay the price of his military adventurism. Americans are sick of it, and I'm sick of it. Joining us now is Colorado Congressman Jason Crow. He is a veteran of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He serves on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Rachel.
Let me ask you to just expand on that statement. How'd you learn about this, and what's your take on what the president is trying to achieve with this war?
Yeah, well, here we go again. You know, as you just pointed out, I learned about this when I woke up and opened up my phone and looked at Twitter, right, which has its own set of problems, the fact that Congress wasn't engaged and involved. But listen, my statement, I think, captures the sentiment of tens of millions of working class Americans who have seen 20 years of endless conflict, trillions of dollars spent, thousands of American lives. And you know who wins? The defense companies win, the oil companies win, the elites and the billionaires win, and the working class folks that I grew up with, that I went to war with, we're left holding the bag. And this is the same thing, right, over and over again. And how magnanimous of Donald Trump to get up there last night and say, you know, tough stuff happens in war, and maybe there are going to be some Americans that will die, but that's a cost I'm willing to take. Really? That's a cost he's willing to take? Because last time I checked, it wasn't him or his kids or his donors' kids or the other elites in the White House that are having to jump into planes or pick up rifles or are sitting here in military bases around the Middle East being bombed right now. They shift that burden onto the rest of us.
Strategically, the question that emerged from the debacles of the Iraq and Afghanistan war, the most potent questions that were never able to be answered by any U.S. government, by any U.S. president, was, how does this end? Strategically, do you understand how this ends, what the United States is both trying to do and whether what they're doing gets us anywhere closer to those aims?
Of course I don't, right? I mean, the rationale for this changes by the hour, right? And sometimes in the same speech, they give different rationale. It's going to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon. It's regime change. It's to protect Americans against some unnamed, undefined, imminent threat that, you know, by the way, as a member of the Intelligence and Armed Services Committee, I'm not aware of, and they haven't briefed us on. So will the real rationale for this please stand up? But we can talk all we want about notification and debating and war powers and resolutions. And I think a lot of Americans just kind of get, glazed eyes when they talk about the procedure. Here's why the procedure and that stuff is important to me as somebody who went and had to fight these wars in the past. It's about accountability. There has to be an accountability loop here. And the reason why we went to war, I think, for 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan is because we stopped taking votes on it. We stopped debating it. The trillions of dollars that we spent was largely debt financing. Nobody was held accountable, and less than 2% of Americans had to actually go off and fight the war. So for me, it's important that we actually have these debates and Congress step up so that I have to go to a high school gymnasium. I got to go to a Rotary Club. I got to stand in front of my constituents in Aurora, Colorado, and around this state. And I got to explain specifically why working class folks should send their sons and daughters and their money to fight this war or any other war for that matter.
It's exactly what you were describing is exactly the reason the founders structured the division of labor in our government so that it was Congress that had to declare war, thus forcing the decision to be a difficult one and one that had to have multiple levels of accountability for everybody taking part in it. Colorado Congressman Jason Crow, combat veteran. Sir, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you being here tonight and for your insight.